Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. The Bank of Ghana has signaled its intention to cut back on its liquidity mopping program from next year. And they, however, maintain that it will be dependent on inflation and exchange rate pressures being contained in 2026. More in this report.
The revelation was contained in the set of questions and answers released by the Bank of Ghana. The regulator was responding to a question on whether it will press ahead with the excess liquidity mop-up program following the success that it has achieved so far for this year, having in mind the impact on money supply and credit extension. But the Bank of Ghana in its response noted that its actions will be guided by the macroeconomic conditions come next year, adding that it will be done cautiously, having in mind the current developments in the economy. The Bank of Ghana is said to have taken out almost 70 billion Ghana cedis in excess liquidity from January to March this year from the market to help bring inflation under control and to its current level. It has, on the other hand, pumped in more than $2 billion onto the forex market to try and stabilize the Ghana cedi.
All right, so let's discuss the implication of this. Joining us via Zoom is economist Professor Patrick Isubing. Thank you so much, sir, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. And first off, we want to understand the implications of this very decision taken by the Bank of Ghana to cut back on its liquidity mopping up program for the monetary policy and, of course, its overall impact on the economy, largely.
Good evening and good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me. I think that if you look at the change in the direction of the monetary policy, especially since the July meeting, it's become clear that we are on a steady disinflation path, and the central bank has decided that it's time to start easing. So in some sense, it's a little bit strange that you have excess liquidity mopping schemes in place, where at the same time you're trying to cut the policy rate. So it's more of reinforcing the direction. For a lot of time, we have been concerned about the inflation and the role of excess liquidity. But if you get to a point where you feel that it's necessary that you've brought inflation somewhat under control, and it's time for you to ease the monetary policy, then it makes sense that you roll back. So it means essentially it's going to reinforce the monetary easing that we've seen to ensure that it's more effective.
Let me find this from you. How will the Bank of Ghana balance the need to reduce liquidity mopping up with the need to also keep inflation in check, as well as maintain exchange rate stability?
I think at the moment, it appears that the central bank has had a fair amount of control over the currency, the exchange rate, primarily supported by the fact that the reserve position has been very, very strong. The inflation, the exchange rates, the currency depreciation contributes substantially to the inflation. So once you have that a little under control, we are not seeing the kind of wild swings that we used to see in the past. I think that helps. And I think if you look at, from the last MPC meeting, you look at where the inflation has gone to, and even since then, we've seen that we've come even further lower than where we used to be. And it's not just that, you also see inflation expectations are trending down. So I think at the moment, there's a feeling that perhaps the concern on inflation is sufficiently subsided. But I think we should also take note that conditions could change. But I think the right signal that was sent is that we are not just going to do this gung-ho. If we see that there's some instability on the currency front, then they will hold on to it. So I think it's sending the right signal that at the moment things are trending towards a little bit more control over the inflation. So it's now time to do a little bit more easing to support businesses in the country.
But really, is that the way to go?
Well, I would like to think so. So I was one of the people who were quite critical when we saw the massive reductions. I thought that perhaps a more cautious approach would have been warranted. Now, I think that perhaps at this stage where inflation has gone so low to 6.3, perhaps this is a good time to do that. But because, you see, historically, when the inflation rate is this low, you want the monetary policy rate to be low so that it gives you more bandwidth when you need to shift it. And at the same time, you want to ease up the liquidity so that you ease the space. So whenever you need to mop up, then it's easy for you to start shifting it. It's like keeping something within a given range. If the inflation is historically low, it's important that you move the excess liquidity mobbing tools as well as the monetary policy rate to close to historical low. So it gives you more bandwidth to change when it becomes necessary.
And Professor Sumay, let me find this from you. Are there concerns that, well, the move could lead to increased inflationary pressures or exchange rate volatility? I don't know where you stand on this argument.
So I think at the moment, if you look at where the indicators are sitting, they are looking fairly strong. And if you combine that with the fact that our reserve position is extremely strong, the central bank is in a very strong position to support the cedi if it comes under pressure. So from that score, I think you have to give the central bank the benefit of the doubt and allow them, hoping that they are going to be cautious. I think but it's a lot of cut. 1,000 basis point cut in 3 meetings is quite high.
Yeah.
But you can't argue when the inflation keeps trending downwards. I mean, like I said, I was quite skeptical early on. But when you see where the inflation numbers are heading, you have to perhaps give them the benefit of the doubt and trust that they are doing the right thing.
Professor Patrick Esumeh, thank you so much for your input this very moment. Grateful speaking to us on Business Live. And Fitch Solutions is forecasting another aggressive cut in the policy rate early next year. Fitch Solutions made the prediction in its November 2025 Sub-Saharan Africa update. More in this report.
According to the UK-based firm, this follows a rapid decline in inflation to a single digit. It forecast a policy rate of 14% by the end of 2026. It explained that the expected cut in the base lending rate will boost private sector credit and boost domestic demand. Fitch Solutions said with inflation in single digits, it expects the Bank of Ghana to keep cutting aggressively through the coming months, further boosting private sector credit, corporate capital expenditure and domestic demand. The Bank of Ghana has cut its benchmark rate by a cumulative 1,000 basis points since the start of the year, making it one of the fastest easing cycles globally.
One of our lead stories, most oil marketing companies have kept fuel prices at the pumps unchanged for more than a week now. And this is despite industry data showing that prices should have gone up from last Monday. Details in this report.
Data put together by the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies show that the various firms in the industry should have gone up by as much as 5% per litre when it comes to fuel prices at the pumps. Now, this was based on the rising prices of finished petroleum products and the city's marginal depreciation against the dollar over the past 3 weeks. However, our initial engagement with most of them revealed that they would delay the increase a little bit and try and monitor competition before they respond. Now, that should have been just about 2 days. However, it is more than 6 days now, and most of them have still kept their prices unchanged at the pumps. It is unclear for now how long they will hold on to the old prices, or maybe we should brace ourselves for some huge hike from the 16th of this month.
This is still Business Life. We have more for you after this break. Hello, welcome back to Business Life. Ghana's energy future took center stage at the West Africa Energy Corporation Summit, where government, youth leaders and industry players explored how innovation, finance and skills development can drive a clean energy transition. Deputy Energy Minister Richard Jan Mensah says with rising demand and a growing youth population, the next phase of growth must be anchored in technology, renewable energy and strong human capital investments.
The summit, Deputy Minister for Energy Richard Jan Mensah urged young Africans to see the region's energy challenges as opportunities for leadership. He said Ghana's transition plan aimed at boosting renewables, improving efficiency, and expanding gas infrastructure will require a new generation of innovators capable of designing systems, building clean tech solutions, and driving regional integration.
Borders may divide us, but energy can unite us. Electricity does not respect physical borders. It has It can be the common economic currency that lifts many of our people from poverty. And this is where you, the young people, enter the story. We need youths who design interconnected renewable systems across borders, linking Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria through Benin to Togo, Senegal to Mali, and Liberia to Sierra Leone. Youth who build clean tech startup that can scale up after. Youth who develop digital tools that reduce 20% to 30% distribution losses, crippling many West African utilities. Youth who can write policy ideas and strengthen AFSEM, WAP, and ACRE. Youth who refuse to think small because the region needs leaders with bold and continental vision. You are not just the future, you are the force shaping the present.
Lead energy and gas transition work at the Green Africa Youth Organization, Ifwa Nyamecha Apia said strategic investment in youth skills could position Ghana as a continental hub for technical excellence even without large-scale manufacturing.
If Ghana dedicates itself to build youth capacity in that regard, at the end of the day, if we don't have manufacturing, we'll have people doing maintenance, we'll have people doing installation, and not just normal people doing, but people that have the needed skills, like really high quality skills in that. Then we can leverage on that to put our country forward.
Senior Vice President for the Energy and Infrastructure Corporate and Investment Banking at Stanbic Bank Ghana, Malaika Bakar, said the bank is rolling out incubators, advisory support, and bankability training to help young entrepreneurs build viable clean energy businesses and access long-term funding.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation Ghana charged newly inducted tax professionals to uphold integrity and ethical conduct as they join the country's tax administration ecosystem. The call was made at the Institute's 2025 graduation and membership induction ceremony here in Accra, where nearly 300 practitioners were formally admitted into the profession.
It was a milestone moment at the University of Professional Studies Accra as the Chartered Institute of Taxation inducted 250 newly qualified practitioners and graduated more than 260 associate members. President of the Institute, Ernestina Christina Apia, reminded the inductees that the nation's tax system can only be credible when professionals commit to the highest standards of integrity, honesty, and fairness.
The importance of ethics cannot be overlooked. Integrity, honesty, transparency, and fairness are all pillars upon which our profession stands. It is our duty to uphold these values in the interest of our clients, employers, and the nation at large. In times like this, individuals, businesses, and the state must embrace a spirit of burden sharing. As tax practitioners, we must continue to advocate for policies that enhance compliance, broaden the tax net, and strengthen revenue mobilization for national development.
The Vice President of the Institute, Fred Koshi Aute, also stressed that well-trained practitioners are essential in guiding taxpayers toward compliance and preventing misinformation that could lead to evasion or penalties.
In a country, we need to mobilize revenue. But there are a lot of people who parade themselves as if they are chartered tax practitioners and advising people to evade the tax, and then not advising them to comply with the tax law and not advising them to plan and manage their tax within the tax law. So once you are trained, you are able to advise the taxpayer on the way to comply and then also to plan their tax in a manner that there may not be an exposure that will let you pay too much of taxes. Also help to ensure that those who are not paying the correct taxes, they pay the correct taxes, and then you don't pay much taxes which you are not supposed to pay. So on the basis of that, today's event and being a qualified chartered tax practitioner mandates you to advise the client, advocate for the client in a manner that will ensure that the taxpayer pay the correct taxes. For example, if you take a client money and then use it for yourself, in that case, you're likely to fade the disciplinary committee. Then if you also advise the taxpayer not to pay the tax or abet and aid them that you're not going to pay the tax, don't pay the tax, or advise them in a manner that will reduce the tax liability of the taxpayer, the law mandates it. In fact, the Revenue Administration Act provides that you will be penalized to the extent that we can even go to prison for that.
The 2025 graduation forms part of CITG's broader mandate to promote professionalism and strengthen Ghana's revenue system.
Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Dr. Francis Eduku, has called for the implementation of intentional strategies and programs to foster mutual and ethical coexistence between technology and the workforce if the 24-hour economy initiative is to be successful. Speaking at the maiden conference of the Institute's newly launched Sunyani branch, Dr. Eduku emphasized the need for Ghana's labor force and educational institutions to evolve to drive industrial growth and strengthen economic resilience. Precious Semevo reports.
The Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management has officially inaugurated its Sunyani branch during its maiden conference, serving as a hub for professional HR development, collaboration and leadership in the Bono region. The Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Dr. Francis Eduku, stressed that many institutions continue to struggle because unqualified practitioners handle their human resource functions. He reiterated that strict compliance with Act 1020, which mandates the hiring of trained and certified HR managers, is critical for organizations to meet their objectives.
We hear more often than not, some HR people, they have been involved in an unethical behavior. Yeah, it's true, because these people have not been trained, and they've been picked just to hold HR positions. Meanwhile, they lack the HR knowledge. So what should the organization expect? Low productivity, low morale, because they don't have what it takes to inspire workforce, to identify their talent, to develop them so that they will be able to help the organization to pursue its vision and mission. And that's what we want HR work to be done by trained HR professionals.
Speaking on the theme, the future of work in Ghana, navigating digital transformation and changing workforce dynamics, Dr. Eduku urged organizations to adopt intentional and forward-looking measures that integrate technology with human talent to accelerate industrial growth.
In Ghana today, we are building toward a future of industrial growth and economic resilience. This futuristic thinking toward economic emancipation and national development has been a significant factor in shaping the visions and aspirations of successive governments. The most recent, President John Mahama's bold yet attainable vision of 24-hour economy. However, this laudable vision will not achieve its good intentions if intentional strategies and programs are not implemented to foster mutual and ethical coexistence between people and technology. To achieve sustainable industrial growth, we need a new mindset and a corresponding skill set. But we need to also point out one reality, that our workforce, institutions, and education system must also evolve as well.
The conference culminated in the swearing-in of the Sunyani chapter's interim executives, led by Elijah Ofori-Badu, to steer the branch's activities diligently with integrity and empathy. Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyani.
Telecel Foundation has extended its digital inclusion drive to the mop-up School for the Deaf in Ekropong, introducing students to hands-on robotics training while sharing the spirit of Christmas with them. Here's a report.
Telecel Foundation has organized a special outreach program at the Mop-up School for the Deaf in Ekropong, offering students hands-on robotics training while sharing the spirit of Christmas with them. The initiative brought together a facilitation team from the Mingo Foundation to guide students through practical sessions designed to ignite their interest in STEM education. The training forms part of Telecel Ghana's broader commitment to promoting digital inclusion. Director of Human Resource at Telecel Ghana, Rachel Apenting, underscored the importance of ensuring that students with disabilities are not left out of the rapidly advancing digital world. She stressed that empowering them with digital skills is essential for their future participation in the global tech space.
The world is going digital. That is whether we like it or not. And the worst thing is to be left behind. So it's so important to understand just the basics even of STEM in general, getting kids interested, boys and girls, but especially girls, of course, interested in this, so that they are able to, if they're interested in it, they're actually able to create such amazing things as they get older. I mean, at Telecel Ghana, for example, one of the key things, if I can highlight, is the fact that we have a supercare team. The supercare team are those who contribute and help our deaf community. Without them, whether we like it or not, people in the world, there are different people in the world. So persons with disability can also benefit from having this education, or also having the help and support that they need as well.
Headmaster of the Demonstration School for the Deaf at Mampong Ekrapim, Setumte Ametewe, expressed gratitude to Telecel for recognizing the potential of the students and involving them in technological advancements that can shape their future careers.
I mean, many of the times we are left off the hook. I mean, children with disability are left off, and even the parents themselves sometimes feel that their children do not have anything to offer, and so they leave them, and nobody comes to their aid. And so for Telecel to come on board and do this wonderful thing, I think that the children are excited. You can see the smiles on their faces. They're jumping all over the place. And I think that is an experience would forever be with.
Students who participated in the training shared their excitement and inspirations. Girls Prophet Makafi Aheve described the experience as inspiring.
She said the training was amazing, and she was happy that she was involved in the training. They arrange components and then they let them do a robot with it. And then she feels that by doing that, it would help her practice a lot every day, and then she'll be able to embrace technology.
JHS2 pupil Abigail Nwa noted that the session has motivated her to pursue robotics in the future.
She said that the training today, she enjoyed it, and then she has interest in learning robotics. So this training that happened will ginger her to be able to learn every day and then engage in technology, AI and all that.
Thanks for watching Business Life. I am Pius Kujubaka.